I have nothing.
Maybe tomorrow.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks for asking.
Does anybody have a legend from their world? And particularly, I wanted to do a team themed call, an exploration of team and what that means and how it looks. And do you have any legends about that from your recent days, or from Echo magically showing up in your life?
I do. I've been part of a team for the last 10 days because Echo landed me here. And yesterday, the 14 goats got out of their electrical fence enclosure. They've been in on different parts of the land here, grazing and being milked, and everyone's having goat milk in the morning,
Wow.
and so, but they really like to go for these long walks. So we all went to round them up and to make sure they were all there, and ended up going to this reservoir and all stripping down and going into the reservoir and hanging out in the warm reeds, and on the way back we went through this area where there's a lot of dry fall on the ground, and between the goats and the people, this wasp's nest was disrupted, and one of the women got like 11 stings. I got 1, 2, 3. I got 3, and like it's gone down a lot. And I've got one in my neck and the other one in the back of my head. But it's in the spirit of team. It is just people checking in with each other and looking out for each other and making proposals to just stop and all have tea together while everyone de-escalated from the wasp experience. And it's been so cool to live, especially so close, so like in Gaia. Like my fingernails have been dirty for 2 weeks and I love it. And the other part of the team part of it is that most of the people here have been building this round pole timber frame structure together, all chiseling and learning how to do it, learning how to measure the logs and find the center and know where the cuts need to go, and chiseling out the mortises and tenons and the grooves for the braces. And I've been kind of the backup for the backup team, just picking up all the loose ends everywhere and doing a lot of cooking and cleaning and errands and checking in on people who are missing and stuff like that. It's been so cool to be like slowing down to the speed of collaboration. I'm gonna be sad to go. And I highly recommend any of you who frequent this northern part of California come and check out Wenosh, find out what they're up to, and get some outer permaculture skills under your tool belt.
How do you spell that, Nicole?
Wanosh. I can send you their website too.
Yeah, if you send that in the chat, that would be great. Thank you. Thank you for sharing about that.
Thank you, Nicole.
I have one from, yeah, thank you for the website. I have one from last night. I just landed here in Florida, and I was going to take a train yesterday, and the train, it was like waiting a really long time at night for the train to come. Like it would be an hour and a half. And while I was sitting at this station, one woman sat down next to me and was trying to figure out the train, and then another woman just came up right behind us and leaned over the bench and said, "Are you guys on this train too? We're stuck, blah 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 blah." And so we ended up just deciding, we have this hour-long ride, let's just take an Uber together. And it very quickly became this sort of very easily connected experience of talking about transformation, talking about the things that they've done with transformation. This guy came up and picked us up in his Tesla. That was the Uber we were in. He was talking about transformation, and I had this. I was just blown away that we rode together for about an hour, and I ended up feeling so deeply on these people's team. Like this one of the women is going to be with her sister who has brain cancer, and I found myself just somehow committed to her. And the guy driving the Tesla was talking about his relationship with God and his journey to finding some kind of salvation. And the woman next to me was she was talking about her children, knowing her children are in modern culture jobs that they hate, and sort of her helplessness around how do I open something else up for my children. And now all these people in this car have links to websites and the they know about possibility management, and I was just thinking about riding alone on the train instead. That would have been the other thing I would have done. And how many times that's been, I guess what for me it was that these extraordinary experiences are sometimes just so nearby, and that it's really easy for me to walk around isolated and pretending that they're not, pretending that it's like it would be really hard to open up something like this, and that I don't really create that on my own. Like that there's something like there's no we and responsibility, and I also can't have that kind of extraordinary experience that it would be different. I can't have that kind of thing just on my own on a train. That's me.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you, Devin.
Anybody else have anything from their world? Grand
have-
or grand?
I have a legend of how I am not creating teams, and it's a discovery that I found in the ETV, and it comes from some feedback that I got, that I relate to people when I want something from them, and this has been landing in me, and it's very painful because it's true. The thought where that is behind that is that if I ask for something, I will owe something to people. So then that keeps me from asking. And I checked this feedback of that I connect with people when I want something from them. And I do, and a part of me, my child, I have the story that I used to relate because I was interested in people, and because I wanted to connect with people, and somewhere along my path, my heart closed, and I told myself that adults relate when they want something from each other, and on a logistical level. So I make contact because I want information, because I want something. And I am, my experiment is to allow myself to connect with people because I am interested in them, in connecting to their being. And the fear is rejection. And my experiment is to get rejected, to dare to show my interest, and if the other people aren't interested, to be with the rejection.
Go.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Maria.
Thank you, Maria.
Hello, Dorothea. We are sharing legends. It could be also kind of what Maria just shared, which are more like a discoveries, but discoveries are legends about your experience of team, your recent experience of team, yourself on a team, or Echo setting you up in a team.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
It's my turn now, or just to let me know.
You can take it. If you
I have-
want it, it's yours.
Right now, I have to think first, so I'm glad
Okay.
if someone else can speak.
I mean, and not everyone has to manufacture something or just create something to fit this prompt.
Okay.
Always about to speak.
I've been about to say something for a while. I have a couple things to share. I don't know if they're legends. I don't know how to share them as legends. One, I don't even know if they're about team. Anyway, but they're coming up.
Go.
There's this thing for lighting the edge where, as I've been organizing, so we're about to start a 3-day, very emergent gathering tomorrow. And I've been sort of like doing this frantic, like, oh no, like all of these things need to be done. And then okay, responsibility, like, okay, I care about it, so I do it. And falling into some sort of trap with that of like, oh, okay, so no one else is doing it, no one else can, okay, well, I care, so I'm gonna do it. And I was talking about this in a team on Monday, and then I just decided to run the experiment of I don't know exactly what the experiment is, but it's to not do that. And all of a sudden the dense fog I was in just like disappeared, and I was like, actually wait, there's actually not that much that needs to be done. And that was, it was really remarkable. It just like I committed to this experiment of letting things emerge how they are, like making sure we have basics that we need for this gathering to not be a total whatever disaster, and everything else is some sort of image or fantasy or expectation, and it all dissolved, and I realized, okay, there's not that much that else that needs to happen, and I've been really light, and I realized I had time to work on other projects, and that was really cool, a really cool experience for me. And the other sort of legend is I had this huge stress about we went to the campground last week, and I was sort of like moping around. I was like, guys, like, just so we all like have our own expectations, it's gonna be like not that many people, it's gonna be like 15 people. And my friend was like, no, I think, well, it's gonna be like 20 or more than 20. I was like, well, like, look, I'm not trying to limit possibilities here. Like, I'm still like, yeah, I'm holding space for 20 or more than 20, but like, to be realistic, like, I think we should plan for like about 15 people. And we have 21 right now.
Whoa.
So it happened about as I let go of all of this fog. And then I was thinking, like, yeah, I get the last minute sign up thing, but for a 3-day event, like, people aren't gonna like last minute sign up for that. But that's exactly what's happening.
Wow. So do you have a new number? I mean, a new internal number?
That it's not gonna
A
hit.
new cap on possibility?
Yeah, 21.
Cap on possibility. How about 31?
21, no! That's
Okay,
Have you learned
22.
nothing, Dawei?
Maybe one more person will join. 22.
26.
Okay, 25.
Thank you. Meredith or Dorothea, anything from you, from your worlds?
I have this really big sadness around team. Kind of the opposite. So we've been living with Dawe's mom now for almost 2 months. And when I first moved in, I had all these ideas of like, sitting down and having a conversation about how I could best contribute and what would be fun and all of these ideas of like how we can connect and like be a team together. And I never did it. And I kept pushing it off and pushing it off. I'm like, oh no, that'll be awkward. People don't do that. And now, I don't know, we have a couple days left before we leave. And I just feel this huge missed opportunity of having been able to collaborate with Dawe's mom. It's like, is this opportunity ever gonna happen again where we're gonna be together this much time? And yeah, I'm really feeling the pain of this team that could have been, and I just let it go. And in hindsight, I can see, all of the possibilities that we had to connect in different ways. And now I find myself, I'm like holding on, like, okay, well, there's a couple days left. What could we do in a couple days? And so I can demonstrate like how appreciative I am. And yeah, and there's been something lost there. And I feel really sad about it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there more about that? I just saw you kind of looking inward.
I think it's still this childish compartmentalizing of what type of relationships I can have with certain types of people. And I think I really limited, like put myself in like a child's small place in the dynamic. So that's coming up as well. That's all. Thank you.
And I have just one other question. What was it that had you had this clear impulse and that had you not hold space for it, the impulse of coming together and talking about how you might be together?
You're asking what happened to where I didn't follow that impulse?
Yes.
I think it was like I had fear around, well, that's not the way that things work here. And I had a story of how things go. And I was like trying to map out like, okay, how's the dynamic with Dawe and his mom? And like, how does this work to be in this setting? And so I lost my own clarity thinking, okay, well, if I just, fit in, that's going to be easier for everybody.
Yeah. So like adapting to the context or something.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question.
So I can talk actually more about my fear in relationship to a belief I have, which is coming from my survival. And there is a belief that if I show myself authentically, I cannot have a team. And if I want to join and be in a team, I have to adapt what others want, or I have to create something so it comes from the mind, what I think, what they want from me, or who I should have be to fit in that team. And that creates a lot of trouble because then I give up on my authenticity. And people like Possibility Manager realize that within a second. Yeah, but there's still that big fear and a lot of confusion that I sometimes not really know what to do or what to say or who to be or what is my purpose here, what can I deliver, what is requested, what do I actually want, and is what I want enough to join a team. So yeah, this is like a big question with I work on that topic since at least 1 year. And it's not it's not so hard as it was 1 year ago. So some threats are taken out. And I'm creating new possibilities and new experiences as well. And it's still part of my automatism and creating fears.
Yeah.
What I hear is that you have the story that if you, on the fear that if you show yourself authentically, you cannot be in a team.
It's not, I mean, it's more a belief than a story. It comes not from creating me a story. It comes from a survival. So it's in other bodies. It's like very imprinted in a way. Yeah. And something that goes along with that is that I when I want to join a team that exists, I ask actually more, or I also look more of what can I deliver, what might that team want from me, then what do I want to actually bring. And that is a reason that I start a lot of teams by myself, because that gives me the freedom just to do what I want.
Yeah.
And it goes also along with the fear that if I start a team to do what I want, that no one want to join.
Thank you. Yeah, this space is in a way going to be the next part of this space will be more about connecting about these whatever the wounds are, or whatever the healing is needed in sort of team. So I would ask more questions, but I think they'll come up in kind of the next part of the space about this.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, so thank you.
Thank you.
So yeah, thank you all for sharing the legends and discoveries and reflections. And I does anyone here know who Fred Rogers, aka Mr. Rogers, is? Is that okay? And I think probably the non-North American people don't. So Fred Rogers, just briefly, was this guy. He died, I think, in the early 2000s, but he was a huge advocate for children, and part of his for children growing up and really being themselves, feeling what they were feeling, for kind of all sorts of stuff. But the way he practiced this in the world was he had this television program called I believe it was called Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. And it was basically this, he would always look into the camera. So it was like he was really looking at you if you were a little kid and really speaking to you about these incredibly difficult issues. Like what happens when parents get divorced? What does anger mean? And is it okay to feel anger and frustration? And I highly recommend just watching if you get a chance to watch just a YouTube video of him. He was really kind of one of these people who is a saint. He had this kind of angelic quality. And I was reading a book about him the other day, and he had this couple of interactions with journalists over the years. One of the books that came out of one of these interactions is called "I'm Proud of You," and it's written by this guy named Tim Madigan. And basically, after he interviewed Mr. Rogers, he and Mr. Rogers took up this friendship. And it really started the very first time he was on the phone with Mr. Rogers. He's asking him questions and starting to interview him. And one of the things Mr. Rogers said was, he asked him, "Do you know what the most important thing in the world is to me right here, right now?" And Tim said, No, I don't know." And Mr. Rogers' response was talking to Tim. It was just this incredible moment of presence. And so their relationship starts unfolding and developing mostly through written correspondence. And at some point, this journalist discovers he's going through kind of his own demons. He realizes, my father and even the people around me, but no one ever told me when I was young that they were proud of me. Nothing I ever did was something that someone would say, "I'm so proud of you." And he writes this letter to Mr. Rogers just confessing that, basically saying, "No one ever told me that. Will you? Will you just be proud of me?" And a couple days later, he gets this letter back, and "Dear Tim, yes." And it's just this huge yes in capital letters. I will do that. And he does it. He follows through for the rest of Mr. Rogers' life. When he writes these letters to this guy, he ends the letter with IPOY. "I'm proud of you." And for me, reading this just blew me away. It's like this little, it was such a, both like this man, Mr. Rogers, yes to this other person, but also this other person's clarity about, like, for some reason, this is a sort of healing that I need. And his ability to just say, "Will you do this for me?" And to get it. And it changed the guy's life. It really had such a huge impact on his life. And it made me think, in terms of being on team and in terms of being on other people's team, that we all have this access to love, this incredible access to love. And at least when I look at my own life, it's something that I'm sometimes kind of stingy with. Meaning I don't really think, like, saying "I'm proud of you" or saying "I love you." I don't really consider all the time how easy that would be for me to do, to say to someone and really mean it, and how much it might mean in their lives to hear that or to experience that. And so what I wanted to try today, in the time we have left, and I know this might not be totally in the spirit of team, but to split into two groups, and we'll come back together at the end, but to split into two groups, and for two, it'd be 3 and 3, and for one person to go at a time for maybe 15 minutes per person, and the other two people, part of it is kind of interviewing of this person to find out what they really need. So if I were on Dorothea's team, it's like there's something. My question that I had was like, okay, you've done a ton of work this last year on this thing with team. It's like, what's the next building block for whatever the stuff is in team to be more in connection, or in your life to be more healed. And it might be something like that. There's something like I have this team wound, and what I really need is for whatever, someone to say, "I'm proud of you." But it could be, I don't know, any number of other things. And to just navigate with the person to what an experiment might actually be. And for 1 week, so we have between this week and next week, it would be an experiment between that time that the 3 people could do together as an experiment in being on the other person's team for healing. And I wanted to also just note, this was such a, in a way, it could be something very small, like this IPOY. It's just literally 4 letters, but that kind of thing can really make a big difference in sort of a person's life. So anyway, that's the proposal for experimenting today. Any questions or additional, I don't know, proposals about that?
So for the 15 minutes, you're inviting us to talk about like some blocks that we have to being fully in connection and fully in team. And then we can kind of work together to get to a place where we might experiment with that. Am I getting that?
Yeah, and it could even be like 13 minutes of this. And I would say also, you know, we have scanners for being able to sort of see maybe where a person is at. So to not just have it be the person sharing about where they're at, but for the other 2 people to also use their scanner and ask questions from there, or to point things out, or to just get a sense for what might be needed with the person too. Yeah. And then we can come back together in the last whatever 10 minutes or so and share about what we worked with. Okay. Dawe, would you split us?
Yes.
Cool, thank you. And I guess each team will keep their own time for this.
So we have 15 minutes each. Is that correct?
I think 13 maybe.
13.
And my understanding is in that time someone shares where they're at with being on team, and the other 2 people give possibilities. Is that or work with that? Is that right?
Yes.
I feel very comfortable with that part being like it being a conversation. And I'm wondering, do each of you prefer to have it be a conversation or a sharing and then a space for discussion?
Yeah, I would change the format to there's 2 possibilitators and 1 client. And the 2 possibilitators are holding space for something about this to emerge from the client. Does that work for you both?
That works for me.
Okay.
I want to be the client first. Do you have any resistance?
No, go.
No, go.
All the time.
Are you doing time?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. The first blockage I find is this fear or belief, maybe even, that if I ask for something, I owe something. Do you have already a possibilities for that? The first possibility that I imagine. Yes, go that way.
Well, I want you to keep speaking more.
Okay. Yes, another blockage is that when I am with people, either they are superior or they are inferior. And when they're inferior, my gremlin is not interested in relating to them. Unless
What
Unless
what really stops you from, like, look at Meredith, look at me. What really keeps the separation between us or stops you from wanting us on your team or from wanting to be on our team?
fear of not being good enough. Not knowing how being on your team will serve me. And what I notice and feedback I've gotten, and I feel it, is that I have this illusion that it's me in my path doing things and exchanging with people for my path. And then either people serve me to go forward on that path, and then we exchange, but it's mine. And I serve people to go on their path. But I have this, like, in the big picture, it's me in my path. And I feel fear when if I imagine like me not on my path and connecting and being sort of in a constellation of connectiveness. I feel fear of losing my autonomy, and I think it's my center. I feel fear of being in connection and losing my center, giving my center.
And how does it work for everyone else? Is it everyone else is on their paths outside of your path?
No, there are people who are in teams. There's people who are in that, and I notice I am not. I notice I am on my path alone.
So are you saying it's possible for people to be in teams and on a path? Or if they're in teams, what's going on?
If they're in teams, other people, I don't know. Me, if I imagine being a part of those teams, the fear that comes up first is giving my center to the team and then losing what I want.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what you want?
The first thing that comes up is intimacy. And the second is from my child, and it's safety.
What's the biggest risk to your safety? Did you say
Hold
one?
on.
Okay.
Was there something else, Maria?
Yeah, the third thing that comes up is creating. Is connecting with my life force, connecting with my sexuality, with my creative force, and creating. What
Is that an individual force?
Thank you. I noticed I have the story that yes, that force is mine. And with this question, I reflect that is not possible. That that life force is not mine. I'm a channel for life force, and life force is also everywhere else. What was your question, Meredith?
It was back about a question about safety and how that, like the risk to your safety of being in a group.
Yes, thank you. The risk to my safety, my biggest safety fear for my child is not having shelter. I'm still yes, I am in modern culture where I have to own land and I have to own Gaia's resources to provide for to have what I need to, what my body needs to survive. And if I am on my path, I will have that. And if I am giving energy to being in teams, my fear is not having that. And then no one will save me. So I might end up in the street without food.
Because why? What? How come when you give your energy to others, you won't have that?
Because it takes a lot of energy to have that. So if I give my energy to others, I will not have enough energy to have shelter and food and water. And I have the impression that it's going to in a lot of different too many different directions. I'm afraid it's going in too many different directions.
I think it's all related. It's this idea of energy being limited, or you have to conserve your energy. And same with the sexuality. There's this question of, is it individual, or is it, or are you part of, the larger energy? How is your energy right now? Your yeah, the sexual, your sexual, how did you say it? Sexuality?
Yes.
Is it are you containing it within yourself right now, or are you in a team with us with it?
I'm containing it. I'm repressing it. And the fear that makes that happen is that I'm afraid that if I don't hold back my sexual energy, my creative energy, my gremlin will take over it and create and destroy, and it will be unconscious. I'm afraid of, if I don't, yeah, I'm afraid that if I don't repress it, it will come out unconsciously and hurt.
Is there a specific way?
Is there a specific way that it will come out and hurt?
Yeah.
Yes. And this is a fear that comes from the past, that comes from my experience in the past. And the fear is that if I don't repress it, I will manipulate and seduce people to assure myself that I have shelter and food.
Mm.
And my gremlin is very good at it if I let him.
What's your underworld sentence?
I don't have it here near me, and what I remember is about not pretending to to have less power than what I have. To step on people. I don't remember. Why did you what where did you want to go from there? Or
I wanted to know because I'm on this team with you, because I interact with you. We have one more minute before 13 minutes. Yeah, because I am on a team with you, and I want to know what your underworld is committed to serving. And with this thing of using sexual energy to manipulate so you get certain things, yeah, I want to know what your underworld would create with that. Yeah, so I think you should learn it.
yeah. Thank you. Thank you for asking.
I have this urge to like give you possibilities to test this limit that you've created, or it seems might exist, around how much life force like you need versus to be using within connection. And so I'm just thinking about experiments that might like test what you think those boundaries are and try going beyond them, and seeing what happens, seeing if you really don't have enough energy to do these other like things, but I don't have anything specific yet.
Will you share possibilities for next steps if they come up for you?
Yes. Yeah, one idea is like something about noticing when you reach this limit where you tell yourself like, I can't do that, or whatever comes to mind that keeps you within your like the safe zone. Whatever, yeah, and where it comes up, and just writing them down. Like you could have had the opportunity to extend in this way, but you didn't because of something.
Noticing my edge, and when I extend myself, what happens, and when I don't, what is happening.
And even the phrases that you're saying to yourself.
Yes.
Like what, yeah.
Thank you.
And I want to know specifically like what you want from me, or what exactly would be the things you would manipulate me to do, or yeah.
Mm.
And my experiment for you would be to scan yourself and your interactions, and then tell people, yeah, what I would want from you, or what I think you could give me would be these things.
In interactions I'm having, to let people know what I want from them.
Yeah, what your underworld would
Want from them.
yeah.
Thank you.
And I think on the flip end, like I would love to know why why I don't have, like you were saying, if someone's above you or below you. I want to
Yes.
know why I'm below you, like what I can't give you, what you're scanning that I'm not able to provide in a relationship as well. And checking those stories with people. Like I have a story that you can't, or you were this way, and so that we can't connect.
To tell people I have the story that you're superior because of this, or you're inferior because of this.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay,
I'm afraid. Yes, my time is over. Thank you.
thank you, Maria.
Yeah, thank you, Maria.
Yeah, I'll go. What's the question? Why can't I be on a team, or how is it for me to be on a team? How is it?
What I explore is what blocks me. What if
What
I
blocks me?
feel okay, I want to be in this team, what blocks
Yeah,
me?
time scared. Go ahead.
And like what is the next building block to more connection? So trying to find out where is the next step to be more in connection and collaboration.
What blocks me from being on a team is my unconscious fear. Even in the main session, I found myself thinking like, gosh, what if preparing for this scenario that no one joins the bridge house. And yeah, so I think part of me is really committed to catastrophe, is really committed to nothing working. Yeah, what blocks me from being on a team is that that nothing is ever good enough. And so I always generate a new fantasy of what else there could be. And how this person isn't good enough, how this person doesn't fulfill that, how this team doesn't fulfill that. Yeah, what blocks me from being on a team is, yeah, my own attempts to cover up arrogance. So what blocks me is like another layer of survival strategy to be quiet or stay small or hide myself. What blocks me from being on a team is, yeah, gosh, I would freak out. I would freak out if I had love, or had, yeah, if I had time to love, I would freak out. I'm not used to not being in motion. Yeah, yeah, my survival strategy is to always be doing something. And then there's no being with a team. There's doing for a team. There's serving a team. There's empowering a team, but there's not being with a team. What blocks me from being with a team, I was talking with a friend yesterday, and we were like testing out we were like demoing some questions to open people up for this gathering. And I was giving my own answers, and then I would say them. I would say like this thing of like, okay, this is something I wouldn't want to share with you, and I would share that, and then I would and then I would say something like, yeah, okay, and I don't think this question really works because it doesn't really land. Like, did anything I just say land with you? And and so what blocks me from being on a team is believing that uh yeah, believing that nothing I say can people can connect with. What blocks me from being on a team is um not knowing how to receive anything. Like I look at you, Maria, I look at you, Meredith, right now. It's like, okay, I can really easily imagine uh, how I can empower you or how I can be on your team. And and when I imagine the reverse, it's like I just have this shaking feeling of like, oh, okay, I want to get that off me. Um, so yeah, okay. So I asked myself a new question, which is how you can be on my team. Yeah, uh, Maria and Meredith, how you can be on my team um is to love me, is to is to is to know what's going on for me, is for me to be able to share all of the things going on inside my internal world and for you to know what's yeah how it is and and then yeah and then stop me or pause me whenever I'm doing something that uh locks me up and to just pause and say and remind me that okay I'm here with you and that's the more important thing than the smoothness of your words or communicating really clearly. Yeah, how you can be on my team is to notice when I stop breathing, like literally when my stomach is tight, and also like metaphorically. Um, yeah, how you can be on my team is to yeah, I feel like I have some filters coming in because it's like, oh, I think this is like child ego state stuff. But it's like yeah, it's like wanting to know that yeah, yeah, what comes up is healing. Is you can be on my team by creating a space of healing uh just by being with me.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank
I'm glad because I already love you. So the first one, it's a check. And I want to know more. You shared that you can easily imagine yourself being on my team and empowering myself, empowering me and empowering Meredith. And when you imagine me empowering you, us empowering you, you have this thing that you want to shake off. I want to know what is behind that. What I'm sensing it's fear.
Yeah, and some sadness comes up. Um,
Because
it's like, oh, okay, I can stop. Yeah, all that comes up is I can stop.
You're sad because you can
Yeah,
stop.
the fear is I don't want to not know what to do. Yeah, I have fear of not knowing what to do. And then it's sort of terrifying. It's this big fear behind that of like, okay, maybe there's nothing to do. And then it's this, yeah, it's this like lack of meaning in my life. And yeah, does that make sense? That if okay, so there's nothing to do, and then it's just yeah, and then it's just the void. It's a big liquid state, like the biggest liquid state.
You're afraid of not knowing what to do.
I'm afraid of there being nothing to do.
You're afraid of there being nothing to do. And what happens when there's nothing to do?
I feel like a balloon that's going to expand until it pops. Yeah, yeah, it's this thing that comes up of like, well, if there's nothing to do, like I might as well kill myself or something like this. Not out of like a suicidal thought, but like, okay, well, if there's nothing to do, uh, then yeah, then okay, I could just kill myself or something or anything.
What I'm sensing is if there's nothing to do, there's no value. Does that
I mean, the whole thing just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't compute. It's we have 1 minute left. There's nothing to do. I don't know, no value doesn't it makes some sense and it doesn't really land. It's like I think I just live inside this mimetic construct of needing something to do. Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe like if I don't have anything to do, there's no value, and there's just that's the construct. Yeah, how you could be on how I want you on my team is to is just to be with me, not like in the mimetic construct with me, but just but yeah, be with me while I'm there or wherever I am.
I will not do but be that.
And me too. And I'm wondering if you want more possibilities than that. What could you ask of us? What could we tell you? What could we say or specifically do to to be on your team to support you.
I think that's it. I think it sounds like not much, or it sounds okay. I don't know how it sounds to you, but to me, it's a really big thing to just have some sort of vacuum space of being. Yeah, pressureless space of being. Yeah, it's a big ask to me.
For me, it sounds like a healing proposal.
Yeah, it is.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. I feel, yeah, I wish we had more time. I can just start to have the sadness coming up now.
You have this what coming up now?
I just start to have the sadness coming up now. Like there's enough slowness, enough space for the sadness to start coming up. And we're over time.
One possibility that I want to share with you, do you want to hear it?
Yes.
Is when you notice an impulse of doing anything, to notice where is it coming from, and if you're if it comes from avoiding being.
Yeah.
And I have one more. Would you like to hear it?
Yeah.
And with that, like providing space for you to just be, and deciding like how much time are you going to give yourself every day that you can just be. And maybe it's meditating, maybe it's just sitting there and witnessing what comes up, and this might give that space to notice where these urges are coming from, even when you think there's not enough time in the day to do it.
I have another possibility,
Okay. Yeah.
which is creating spaces to just be. Like the purpose is to be with people or not, but creating spaces of being with, not doing anything, just being with. And I will be available for that.
With another person.
Yes.
Okay.
Or the team, just being with.
So Maria, we're going to be at this whole weekend event, and I propose you hold this space in person as well with people and online.
Yeah, but then I'm holding the space. Okay, I can do it.
You can do that. Thank you, Dolly.
Yeah, thank you. We have not much time left. So
Go Meredith.
yeah, go. Yeah, start.
I do notice this twinge of ecstasy of knowing like your time had gone, and this means I had less time to like reveal myself. I think is a part of my building block to connection, is like wanting to hide, and seeing like what you two have to offer is so much better than what I could offer, and I have this story running. And so I position myself in teams as being less than, and what could I possibly offer? And I have this whole story running that this makes me really good at being on a team. But I know that, or I think it doesn't really serve that purpose. The purpose is to keep myself small so that I'm less vulnerable. Because if I dare to be equals with people I'm on a team with, then I have the risk of finding out I'm really not. But if I am not fully trying, then I have this safety of telling myself, well, I'm not really, I'm here to serve you too. And of course there's this possibility that I could be something else, but I'm just not trying. And so I think the block is the underlying fear of rejection and fear of not being good enough. Because the
Will
one
you
way I
slow
can,
down?
yeah. Thank you. If I'm not useful, then there's no purpose for me to be there. And people won't need me. And so I will be alone. And so when I think about collaborating and Marie, even hearing you like on your path, for me, it would be like, okay, we all need to be together, and okay, everybody, okay, let's take a step. Okay, we're still together. All right, we're still all good. Okay, now let's take another step. And if I'm not doing it with everyone, then I'm going to be completely on my own and isolated. And so not really understanding how to be independent and on my own path while remaining connected. And I'd always rather sacrifice my independence and my path for the sake of the whole.
I can hear still the I mean the contamination of gremlin as you say that, there's still that layer of energetic gremlin of that joy, and as you say that, sacrificing your path for the whole. Would you put that aside to share with us again what's going on?
Mm. Yeah, I have this story that to love people means to put their needs above mine, and sacrifice is to love.
And what about receiving love?
What does it mean to receive love?
Yeah, how is it for you?
I have to be worthy of it. And it feels like an exchange. Like I have demonstrated my commitment to you, so then I can receive your love after. Yeah, and for people who jump in and just offer it right away, I kind of get this like resistance to like, okay, well, this is phony. Like you're not really serious. This isn't really valuable. It's not your real love. It's like a game you're playing with me.
What's the fear behind this story that if someone offers love just like that, I sense there's fear when you make the story that it's phony. What's the fear about?
Yeah, it says, what do you want from me? What's actually your real purpose? Because this couldn't be possible. So it's like, what manipulative game are you playing with me?
The main thing I've gotten listening to you has just been this big sense of really running away. Yeah, I want to give you some sort of experiment on that of sorry, my like mental mind has sort of stopped working right now. The experiment is,
Would you ask me if I'd like to hear it? Would that?
yeah, would you like to hear it?
Yes, I would. Thank you.
I the just this the sense I get is like you throwing up a bunch of confetti and then running towards somebody, like and somehow it blocks the connection. So even though it looks like you're running towards somebody, you're throwing up all of this stuff in between you. And so the experiment would be to interact with people without doing any of the confetti throwing. Like the confetti throwing is what I meant by running away, energetically move yourself. And yeah, it would be to yeah, to engage in a conversation with a friend without uh without any sexuality, flirting, or alcohol, or any of these other things that just that you can use to hide.
Mm. So the confetti in this case, what you're saying is it's like sexual energy and numbing, the ways that I numb. Okay.
Yeah, and also ways that you blind the other person.
Thank you.
What I'm hearing also is a strategy of coming up with, okay, I could this is the value that I could offer, and this is the value that I could offer, and holding back. And I'm afraid that is to tell yourself, if I were not holding back, then something. But but I hold back to not test that something, to not discover what would happen if I did all those things, so that they can be an imaginary reality. Does that land?
Yeah, something about the fantasy world that I create that keeps me safe.
And what I sense is that comes from the holding back. Like I hold back so that I can create this fantasy and not test by bringing my value. And my question is that smells like gremlin to me. So what is the benefit of that strategy? What is the benefit of having this fantasy world? I'm afraid I was not clear enough, but does that land?
Yes.
We've just 4 minutes left, so I'm going to close all the breakout rooms.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. We have a couple of minutes left. I think Dorothea is probably gonna rejoin or something. She's somewhere. Any sharing about your experiment or what you discovered in this space in the last couple of minutes?
So valuable to me from each person's turn. Like I think that this is really like my edge, and it's just so valuable to me to be on that edge with other people and have that sense of being on the edge about this, about as a team building experience.
You. Yeah, I'll say there's something the thing that I brought up today was about like when I experience love and it seems disproportionately large compared to how well I know a person, or if it's strange, like my main thing will be to I won't do anything about it. I'll just not say anything or not make a move toward the person. And I've been stuck there for a while, like more than a year, knowing about this. And I got such from the team, just like such incremental next steps about what to work with around that. And I feel glad. It's like, okay, I can actually build muscle here instead of just kind of being like, what's wrong? Why can't I, so it was really valuable.
Thank you, Devin. Yeah, I've found my way, I think, into probably the base mimetic construct of my life, which is if I'm not doing something, I'm not clear on the whole thing, but it's like that I basically just have to be doing all the time. And yeah, and I see that there's somehow some kind of block where I'm really liquid, and yet all I can access is these couple small tears, and somehow there's like some way that I could have just totally broken down in the breakout room, and something keeps me from doing that, from feeling that I can have team in that way. And yeah, I don't have more to say. That's it. That's what I'm finding, or that's what I've known about for a while.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dawei.
Yeah, okay. Actually, I want to say one more thing, which was what I found out about how I want people to be on my team is that basically I think I need a massive healing space about this. Like I'm chipping away at it, and the way people can be on my team is that this is such a big thing for me that to just have that knowing, and that this space of interacting with me, what serves me is for to also have the purpose of healing, that I can just be, and slowly let this heal.
Thank you, Dawei.
My goal and what I experienced was sharing my underworld and my fear of not doing that. I'm afraid of sharing my underworld because my story is that people will freak out and reject me and not want to relate to me. And what I experienced here is they wanted to know more,
Mm.
and this heals me, and I'm glad that you want to know more about my underworld.
Yeah, thank you, Maria.
And Maria, I want to say that the other thing was, what I picked up was, yeah, that you have this huge fear of your underworld, but without having as much equivalent clarity about it.
Thank you.
I just want to say, I think Dawei and I have to go to another space, but thank you all so much for this exploration, and maybe in the Telegram group, if someone is inspired to hold space next week, we can figure that out there, or share more about how this space was if you have more about your experiments.
I want to hear from everyone more. Whoever wants to share in the Telegram group would be great. And
Cool.
anyone who's watching the video too, who didn't make it today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Devin. Thank
Thank
you
Yeah,
all.
thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
I love
team.
you.
Love you too.
I love you
I
too.
love you.
I love you.
And I'm on the I love Nicole team.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.